Welcome to Dark Hours FM, where real horror meets the unknown. You can now listen to every episode, explore new stories, and uncover what hides behind the mic at DarkHours-FM.com, the official home of the dark. Tonight's story, Season 3, Episode 2, The Fire That Went Out. Let's begin. This story came from a group of hikers who swore they would never camp in that part of the forest again. They weren't paranormal investigators or thrill seekers. Just 4 friends from Idaho who liked weekend backpacking trips, long hikes, quiet nights, and the kind of remote campsites where you could see the stars without any light pollution. The place they chose that weekend was deep in the Bitterroot Mountains, miles from the nearest road. The trail itself wasn't difficult, but it was long, and by the time they reached the clearing they planned to camp in, the sun was already sinking behind the mountains. The clearing looked perfect. Tall pine trees surrounded it on every side, but the center was open enough for a small fire and a couple of tents. There were even old stones arranged in a circle, like someone had built a fire pit there years ago. They dropped their packs, gathered dry branches, and built a fire before darkness fully settled over the forest. At first, everything was exactly what they expected. The fire crackled. The air smelled like pine and smoke. Somewhere far away, an owl called through the trees. They cooked a simple dinner and sat around the fire, talking the way people do when there's nothing else to do but listen to the woods, breathe around you. That's when Aaron noticed something strange. He pointed into the trees across the clearing. "Did one of you walk over there?" The others looked. About 20 yards into the forest, something had disturbed the ground. Leaves were pushed aside in a wide oval shape, like someone had been pacing in circles. No one had gone over there. They shrugged it off at first. Maybe an animal, deer, maybe. But as the night grew darker, the woods started to feel wrong. The owl stopped calling. The wind disappeared completely. Even the insects went silent. The only sound left was the fire. And then suddenly the fire went out. Not slowly, not fading. One moment the flames were burning bright, and the next moment they were gone. Just smoke rising from blackened wood. The 4 hikers stared at it. Fires don't just stop like that. Aaron grabbed a stick and stirred the coals. Still warm. Still plenty of unburned wood. They relit it easily using a lighter and a bit of dry bark. The flames came back. For a few minutes, everything seemed normal again. Then someone behind them spoke. "Don't do that." Every one of them turned toward the voice, but no one was there. It had come from the trees behind them, low, calm, close. Aaron stood slowly, scanning the darkness with a flashlight. "Hello," he called. Nothing answered. The beam of light moved through the trunks and branches, revealing nothing but mist drifting through the cold air. They convinced themselves it was the wind playing tricks, even though there wasn't any wind. And then the fire went out again, same way. Instantly, like someone had blown it out. This time, none of them moved. The darkness around the clearing felt thicker now. Aaron whispered, "Did you hear that?" A sound came from the trees. Footsteps. Slow ones. Crunching leaves. Something was walking toward the clearing. But there was a strange rhythm to it. Step, pause, step, pause. Like someone trying to imitate how people walk, but getting it slightly wrong. Aaron aimed his flashlight into the forest again. The beam cut through the darkness and stopped on a figure standing between the trees. It looked like a person, tall, thin, perfectly still. but the light revealed something that made Aaron's stomach drop. The figure wasn't facing them. It was facing the other direction, its back toward the clearing. Yet somehow, they all felt like it was watching them. The fire sparked suddenly beside them. For a moment the flames flared up again on their own, and in that flickering light they saw the figure move, not walking, not turning, just leaning, tilting its head sideways, farther than a human neck should allow. The voice came again from the darkness. "Don't light that." Aaron grabbed a branch and tossed it into the fire anyway. The flames grew brighter, and the thing in the trees took one slow step backward, still facing away from them, still somehow watching. Another step, another, until it disappeared between the trunks. The hikers didn't speak for a long time. They kept the fire burning the rest of the night. None of them slept. Just before sunrise, the forest slowly returned to life. Birds started calling. The wind moved through the branches again. When daylight finally filled the clearing, Aaron walked to the spot where the figure had stood. The ground there was covered in leaves, but beneath them was the same oval-shaped disturbance they had seen earlier. Wide circles in the dirt, over and over, like something had been pacing there for a very long time, waiting. The four of them packed up immediately and hiked out. None of them have ever gone back, and Aaron says there's one thing he still thinks about every time he remembers that night. The voice never sounded angry or threatening. It sounded worried, like it was trying to warn them. Thank you for joining us in the dark tonight. Stories like these remind us that the world can be stranger and sometimes darker than we expect. As you go about your night, remember that not every sound has an explanation, and not every shadow is empty. Stay aware of your surroundings and trust your instincts, because sometimes the most unsettling stories are the ones that could happen anywhere,